With around 750 military bases spread across more than 80 countries, the US is present in every corner of the world, on every continent, even in distant Antarctica. No other country in history has managed to create such an extensive military network. The American military is not only the largest but also the most powerful the world has ever seen. Now, think about what this represents. Around 170,000 American soldiers are stationed in bases around the globe, ready to act at any moment. To put this in perspective, this troop count equals the entire German army. And they're not just there to fight. These soldiers also play significant roles in diplomatic missions and humanitarian aid, always ready wherever a crisis occurs, be it a natural disaster or a political conflict. The military bases that make this possible are the true command centers of this global operation. They serve to mobilize troops, coordinate actions, and gather intelligence. Each base is strategically located to allow the US to act swiftly and efficiently anywhere in the world. For allies, these bases represent security. For enemies, they showcase the vast reach of US military power. But this global presence isn't just about protecting security. It also influences the politics and economies of the countries where the bases are established. In many places, these bases are seen as symbols of US power and influence. In some regions, they are even perceived as signs of dependency. Over the years, this military network has helped the US protect trade routes, maintain agreements with allies, and ensure that its strategic interests are always well protected. And, of course, this network consists of various types of bases, each playing a specific role to keep this machine running. Some are permanent, while others are less visible but equally essential to ensure the US can be everywhere, and act anytime. The massive US military network around the world is sustained by a variety of bases, each designed for specific functions. From large permanent installations to smaller, more discrete outposts, these bases form the backbone of the American global presence. This structure not only enables the rapid mobilization of troops but also ensures that the US can respond to any threat, whether small or large scale. The large permanent bases are, without a doubt, the most impressive. These installations house more than 200 soldiers and account for about 60% of all American bases. Besides being extremely expensive to build, with costs exceeding $10 million, they are essentially self-sufficient complexes. Inside these bases, you'll find everything military personnel and their families need, from housing, schools, and hospitals to cinemas and fast food chains. They are like small American cities planted on foreign soil, maintaining a constant operation that directly influences local defense dynamics and politics. On the other hand, the US also operates smaller temporary bases, known as lily pads, or cooperative security locations. These bases are smaller and less visible, usually housing fewer than 200 soldiers. They are more affordable, costing less than $10 million, and have a specific strategic function, enabling mobility and flexibility. Unlike the large permanent bases, lily pads act as support points that can be quickly activated in case of need. They ensure the US can respond to crises swiftly, moving troops and equipment discreetly without drawing much attention. These two types of bases reflect how the United States has shaped its global defense strategy. Permanent bases represent stability and long-term presence, while temporary bases allow for mobility and quick action in regions of strategic interest. Moreover, many of these bases are located in crucial geopolitical regions, such as East Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, where the ability to react quickly is essential to maintain global order. Through this setup, the United States maintains constant vigilance over the world's highest risk areas. And, of course, the positioning of these bases is no accident. They are strategically located worldwide, where American interests need protection or where a military presence serves to deter adversaries. A clear example of this is East Asia, where the concentration of American troops is vital to maintaining stability in one of the most tense regions on the planet. If there's one country that dominates the global military landscape, it's the United States. It's not just the size of its base network that impresses, but the sheer scale of American military power. In 2023, the U.S. military budget reached an astounding $858 billion, a figure that surpasses any other country's by a huge margin. To put this in perspective, the world's second-largest military budget, China's, was approximately $293 billion in the same year. This means the US spends nearly 3 times more than China, highlighting the difference in scale. This massive investment is directly reflected in American military capability, which is unparalleled in many aspects. The United States possesses a vast range of state-of-the-art equipment, from advanced cyber warfare technologies to an overwhelming number of aircraft carriers, the largest in the world. These massive ships are, literally, mobile military bases, enabling the U.S. to project its power thousands of miles from its shores. In total, there are 11 aircraft carriers in operation, more than any other country, consolidating the U.S.'s ability to respond swiftly to any international crisis. But the gigantic U.S. budget doesn't only go toward acquiring top-tier weaponry. It funds a complex network of troops, training, and technological research. U.S. Special Forces, for instance, are the best trained and equipped in the world. Operating on almost every continent, these elite units are capable of carrying out missions ranging from rescue operations to fast, precise military interventions. This places the U.S. in a unique position. It not only has military power in quantity but also in quality and efficiency. Additionally, the technological strength of the U.S. has played a crucial role in the modern military landscape. The country has heavily invested in cyber warfare capabilities, high-tech drones, and artificial intelligence applied to the battlefield. This technological advancement offers a clear advantage in contemporary conflicts, where the speed of data collection and processing can be decisive. Drone strike operations, for instance, have become an essential tool for neutralizing threats without the need for large troop mobilizations. This combination of strengths, global presence, cutting-edge technology, and a quick and efficient response capacity, makes the United States military truly unmatched. No other nation possesses this blend of reach and military might, ensuring the U.S. a dominant position on the global stage. More than just a symbol of strength, the American military is a strategic instrument of global control and influence. And it's this massive military presence that shapes international politics. Entire regions are influenced by the simple existence of these forces and the U.S.'s capacity to intervene at any moment. However, part of this influence is concentrated in very specific areas where the number of American troops is particularly high and military power is a vital issue for regional security, such as in East Asia, where tensions between major powers are a constant. With rising tensions involving major powers like China and North Korea, the United States' strategic position in this part of the world is seen as essential for maintaining regional stability. This is why the U.S. maintains some of its largest troop concentrations in Japan and South Korea, two crucial allies in the balance of power in Asia. In Japan, about 50,000 American soldiers are stationed at various bases across the country. The U.S. military presence in Japan is a legacy of World War II but became even more strategic during the Cold War, serving as a key point in the containment of communism in Asia. Today, Japan remains one of the United States' main allies in the region, and these American bases function as a pillar of mutual defense. However, while essential for regional security, this presence is not always welcomed by the Japanese population, particularly in densely occupied areas like Okinawa. In South Korea, the situation is even more delicate. With about 28,500 American soldiers stationed there, the U.S. keeps a constant watch on the movements of North Korea, one of the most isolated and unpredictable nations in the world. The largest American military base outside the U.S., Camp Humphreys, is located in South Korea. This massive military complex, with over 500 buildings and a capacity for 45,000 people, including soldiers, their families, and American civilians, is almost like a small American city within the country. Aside from being a strategic fortress, the base offers soldiers all the comforts of home, from schools and cinemas to American fast food chains. This mini-US in the heart of South Korea is a central piece of defense against the North Korean regime. However, this presence also generates controversy. Many South Koreans have expressed dissatisfaction with the American military presence on their soil. A significant example was the 2002 incident where two South Korean girls were accidentally killed by an American military vehicle, sparking nationwide protests against the U.S. Despite the strong military ties between the two countries, episodes like this highlight how the American presence is not always viewed positively by the local population. These internal conflicts reveal the complexity of maintaining such a significant military presence in sensitive regions. Even so, the American presence in East Asia goes beyond a simple military alliance. It is also a clear signal to China and North Korea that the United States stands ready to act should regional stability be threatened. The network of bases and the large contingent of American troops in Japan and South Korea act as a barrier against any aggression attempts, serving as a key element in the U.S.'s deterrent strategy in the region. This concentration of forces in East Asia underscores the importance that the U.S. places on this area of the world, where security issues are directly linked to the competition between major powers and the struggle for influence over the region's future. Additionally, Europe, especially Germany, has been one of the main support points for the American military presence since the end of World War II. With the division of Europe during the Cold War, U.S. military bases on the continent became a pillar of Western defense against the Soviet Union. Germany hosts the largest concentration of American military bases in Europe, with around 64,000 American troops in 2021. However, after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, this number jumped to 100,000 soldiers, reinforcing the United States' commitment to European security. Ramstein Air Base, located in southwest Germany, is the largest and most important American air base on the continent. More than just a simple operations base, Ramstein is a true logistical hub for American forces in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Ramstein also houses one of the largest military hospitals outside the United States, providing advanced medical care to soldiers wounded in combat. During conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq, for instance, many severely injured soldiers were first transported to Ramstein before being flown back to the United States. This humanitarian role, combined with its strategic importance, makes the base an essential piece of the American military puzzle. The concentration of American troops in Europe, especially in Germany, is more than a matter of regional defense. It also ensures that the United States can respond quickly to crises that occur both within and outside Europe. The geographic proximity to the Middle East and North Africa makes European bases ideal launching points for rapid interventions. Additionally, the presence of these troops strengthens NATO and demonstrates the U.S. commitment to the security of its European allies, especially in times of growing tension with Russia. The United Kingdom is one of the closest allies of the United States, and this strategic partnership is reflected in a significant American military presence on British soil. Over 10,000 American troops are stationed across various bases in the country, with the most important being the RAF Lakenheath and RAF Mildenhall air bases, which play crucial roles in U.S. military operations in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. RAF Lakenheath, located in eastern England, houses the only U.S. air combat unit in Europe equipped with F-15 fighters and, more recently, the advanced F-35s. This base has been pivotal in numerous American military operations, such as providing air support during the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and serves as a strategic point for NATO defense missions. RAF Mildenhall, on the other hand, is a multifunctional base serving as a hub for aerial refueling and intelligence operations, with a vital role in supporting military operations in distant regions. These bases, essential for the projection of American power, also hold historical significance. In 1986, the U.S. conducted a retaliatory strike on Libya from RAF Lakenheath, in response to a terrorist attack at a Berlin nightclub frequented by American soldiers. This event underscored the importance of the United Kingdom as a key support point for rapid, coordinated military actions during crises. Despite the strong alliance between the two countries, the American military presence in the UK is not without controversy. In 2019, a diplomatic incident occurred when an American base staff member hit and killed a British youth while driving on the wrong side of the road. Protected by diplomatic immunity, she left the UK without facing local justice, sparking public outrage and creating tension between the two governments. This case exposed a sensitive area in UK-US relations, the balance between the strategic benefits of hosting American bases and the challenges related to sovereignty and local justice. Such incidents raise questions about British sovereignty in areas where American jurisdiction can override, creating a point of friction that, though rare, stirs public and political debate. Additionally, there is growing concern among some sectors of British society regarding the environmental and social impacts of these bases, particularly in rural areas near these military installations. From a strategic perspective, however, the United Kingdom remains one of the US's most reliable allies. The bases on British soil ensure that the United States has a secure foothold in Europe to conduct military operations, especially during international crises. Moreover, the collaboration between the two countries extends beyond the military sphere, including intelligence and cybersecurity cooperation, both vital for mutual protection against emerging global threats. In recent years, the intensifying rivalry between the United States and China has turned Asia into a stage for intense geopolitical disputes. One of the most sensitive areas in this region is undoubtedly Taiwan. To understand the significance of this small island, it's important to remember, as we've covered in other videos, that Taiwan is located in a strategic position in the South China Sea, one of the world's busiest trade routes and a region marked by territorial disputes. Additionally, Taiwan is viewed by China as part of its territory, while the US treats it as a crucial ally in countering Chinese influence. In recent years, the US has strengthened its military presence in the region to curb China's military growth and prepare for any escalation related to Taiwan. New bases and defense agreements have been established with countries like the Philippines and Guam, allowing the US to increase its rapid response capacity in the event of a conflict. These new bases act as essential pieces to ensure that the United States can mobilize troops and equipment efficiently, staying ready to intervene at a moment's notice. The Philippines, in particular, has become a focal point. With new agreements signed between Manila and Washington, Philippine bases are being modernized and prepared to host American troops and equipment. The location of these bases places the U.S. much closer to Taiwan and the disputed Spratly Islands, where China has been building military installations. The return of American troops to the Philippines marks a significant shift in U.S. defense strategy in Asia, aimed at increasing pressure on Beijing without provoking direct confrontation. Beyond its presence in the Philippines, a small Pacific island called Guam has gained prominence as one of the main American outposts in the region. Guam is home to important air and naval bases that could be crucial in any military operation in the Pacific. As a U.S. territory, Guam provides a secure and reliable platform for launching military operations, allowing the U.S. to project power throughout Asia quickly. However, the growing U.S. military presence around Taiwan is not merely a military response, it is also a diplomatic move. By intensifying its presence in the region, the United States sends a clear message to China: any attempt to take Taiwan by force will be met with a significant military response. This reinforcement of bases in Asia aims to maintain deterrence and ensure that China thinks twice before undertaking any aggressive action against Taiwan. This scenario raises questions about the future of regional stability. Taiwan is a critical point not only for the US and China but for the entire Asia-Pacific security system. The U.S. military buildup around the island serves as a reminder that, although diplomacy remains the preferred path, military options are readily available. The expansion of bases in Asia and around Taiwan shows that the U.S. is committed to maintaining its influence in the region while ensuring its allies remain protected. This increased military presence near Taiwan represents a delicate balancing act. On the one hand, the U.S. needs to reassure its allies that it stands ready to defend the region against any Chinese threat. On the other, Washington seeks to avoid an escalation that could lead to open conflict with China, which has also been heavily investing in expanding its own military power. Another European country, Italy, plays a crucial strategic role in the global network of U.S. military bases. As a connection point between the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and North Africa, Italy hosts some of the most essential installations for American military operations. Among these, the Naval Air Station Sigonella in Sicily stands out as a vital stopover point for U.S. aircraft headed to the Middle East and North Africa. Naval Air Station Sigonella is considered one of the U.S. Navy's most important bases in the Mediterranean. It provides essential logistical support for U.S. naval and air operations in conflict-prone areas, such as Lebanon, Libya, and, more recently, operations against terrorist groups in the African Sahel. Sigonella's strategic position allows the U.S. to monitor maritime traffic and military movements in the Mediterranean and enables rapid action in rescue missions, crisis response, or counter-terrorism efforts. However, one of the most controversial episodes involving American bases in Italy occurred in 2003, when CIA agents abducted Egyptian cleric Abu Omar in Milan. He was taken to an American base in Italy before being transferred to Egypt, where he was tortured. The case sparked a significant diplomatic crisis, as the abduction occurred without the knowledge or authorization of the Italian government. This incident, one of the most notorious examples of extraordinary renditions by the U.S., caused widespread outrage in Italy. In response, Italian courts convicted several CIA agents, although most of them did not serve sentences. The case underscored the delicate issue of Italian sovereignty in the face of American covert operations and left a lasting mark on bilateral relations. Another important aspect is that the American military presence in Italy is often viewed with a mix of pragmatism and criticism. While many recognize the base's strategic importance for NATO and regional security, segments of the Italian population question the extent of this presence and its potential impact on national sovereignty. In areas near the bases, environmental and social concerns, such as noise and land use, are constant topics of debate. Despite these tensions, Italy's geopolitical importance as a strategic support point for U.S. operations in the Mediterranean and North Africa is undeniable. The bases on Italian soil allow the United States to maintain a strong military presence in one of the world's most volatile regions, ensuring the capacity to respond quickly to crises, whether in North Africa, the Middle East, or other parts of Europe. The vast network of U.S. military bases worldwide is seen by many as a symbol of power and security. However, it also fuels a growing debate about what truly drives this global presence. Critics accuse the U.S. of practicing military imperialism, suggesting that these bases don't just exist to guarantee security but also reinforce political and economic control over strategic regions. A clear example of this debate unfolds in Okinawa, Japan. Despite occupying less than 1% of Japan's territory, the small island hosts 62% of all American military bases in the country, with about 30,000 soldiers stationed there. For many Okinawans, the presence of these bases is a constant source of dissatisfaction, not only due to incidents involving American personnel but also due to the impact on local quality of life. Protests against the bases are frequent, and anti-base sentiment has become a central issue in local elections, reflecting decades of frustration. Similar situations occur in other countries, such as Germany, where the U.S. military presence endures even decades after the Cold War's end. With nearly 100,000 American soldiers in Europe, many question whether Europe should continue to rely so heavily on the United States for its defense or if European countries should strengthen their own military capabilities. These questions reveal a latent tension between national sovereignty and the collective security provided by U.S. bases. Beyond the military aspect, there is also a significant economic impact. In many places, U.S. bases drive local economies, creating jobs and boosting surrounding commerce. However, this economic relationship can also create a risky dependency, where host countries become increasingly tied to American political influence. This raises questions about how much autonomy these countries can maintain while hosting such a powerful military presence. Another sensitive point is that many of these bases are strategically positioned in areas of great economic and geopolitical value. Control over trade routes, access to natural resources, and proximity to conflict zones are factors that frequently motivate the maintenance of these installations. Some critics argue that American bases don't only serve a defensive function but also ensure U.S. dominance in crucial regions like the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and parts of Africa. On the other hand, supporters of the American military presence argue that these bases are essential for maintaining global order. They see the U.S. as an international bodyguard, protecting both its own interests and the security of numerous allied nations. American presence, especially in unstable regions, is viewed as an important counter to regional powers that could destabilize these areas, such as Russia in Europe or the Chinese government in Asia. This debate over American military imperialism touches on profound issues: sovereignty, security, and global influence. In places like Okinawa and Germany, the prolonged U.S. military presence generates a strain that questions the true necessity of these bases. Conversely, countries like South Korea and Poland view these troops as an essential shield against external threats. As the global stage becomes more multipolar with the rise of other powers, this discussion over the role of U.S. military bases will intensify. The central issue isn't just whether the United States should maintain these bases, but how they should operate and to what extent they serve global balance over purely American interests. One thing, however, is certain: these bases continue shaping alliances, influencing economies, and sparking debates that directly affect the world order. Or would you prefer if China were the one doing this? If you enjoyed this documentary and want to know whether China will ever surpass the US, click here on the screen right now to watch.